In 1995, Michael Jackson released his follow-up to the adventurous Dangerous record with an album that was both a greatest hits record and a collection of new and re-released songs. This episode of the Songminded Podcast is all about the Michael Jackson record called History. A record that when it came out was kind of on the heels of Michael kind of reclaiming his dominance in pop music. Dangerous came out and had a number of hits in it. With the media seemingly turning his back on him, it seemed like Michael had something to prove with a record like History. Let's get this out of the way. The collection of greatest hits that accompanied this record is interesting. I can't think of another artist who released a collection of new songs alongside a greatest hits record and decided to make side B the collection of new songs and side A the greatest hits. Like side A was like, here's all the songs you know and love me for, and then side B is like, here's a bunch of new ones. And so History is an interesting record. I think it's one of those records that I think like people hold Dangerous and Bad and Thriller off the wall in really high regard. But I don't quite know how people feel about History. And we'll get to Invincible when we get to Invincible. But in regards to History, this is a record that like there's a number of songs on History that to me are quintessential Michael Jackson songs. And I'll get to once we get to them. But it's interesting to me that like, at least from my perception, it doesn't seem like History is as well regarded as the other records that I've talked about on the past in this on this podcast. And so it's interesting that like revisiting this record, specifically to do this episode of the Songminded Podcast, reconnecting with a lot of these songs that I haven't heard in quite some time. I have fond memories of buying the History record, and I have fond memories of like, again, a number of the songs that are on that record. And as a whole, it's a really, really interesting album from Michael. So we'll get started. Let's talk about Scream, the opening track, his duet with his sister, Janet Jackson. So from a song and beat perspective, I feel like Scream is the closest to Dangerous. It's still kind of got that New Jack Swing style to it a little bit. And something I didn't notice, I've listened to this song for decades at this point. Something I didn't notice until I listened to the album again, specifically for this review, is that the snare hit for the song Scream is the sound of broken glass. Every single snare hit, almost every single snare hit, is broken glass. It's like a snare hit with the combination of broken glass. That to me was interesting. It's like, it's one of those things where like the purpose of this song is to be agitated, to be visceral, to be upfront. And it's very much accomplished on this track. I absolutely love Scream. This is such a fantastic song. I love the verse. I love the build up to the verse in the beginning of the song, but Jackson's vocals are phenomenal on this track. It's just like front and center, the way I wish his voice would be on songs from Dangerous, at least the high energy songs. But it's right there up in your face. Jackson singing about injustice and how tired he is and that kind of stuff. And then the song breaks for about a measure or two, and then Janet kicks in. And it's weird that like, and again, in hindsight, again, like at the time I was like, this is amazing. Now analyzing it the way that I'm analyzing it, I'm like, their voices are so similar, at least in Scream, right? Almost the same timbre and everything. Sometimes I was like, wait, that's Janet singing. That's not Michael. Like I kind of had to like tell myself, mentally tell myself, be like, that's not Michael. That's Janet singing, or that's not Janet singing. That's Michael singing. Fantastic chorus. Absolutely love the back and forth between Michael and Janet. With such confusion, don't it make you want to scream? Like I absolutely think that's a gorgeous chord progression, vocal melody, and just overall delivery by the Jackson siblings. And then you've got your post chorus. Just stop questioning me. Just stop. Dun, 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 like that. And again, the syncopation of the vocals of how they put it together and everything, fantastic. The arrangement of the song is interesting because right before we get to the bridge, we have like this almost pseudo bridge, this interlude with Janet Jackson, where the song totally quiets down. You kind of hear some radio sound effects in the background, and then you hear Janet saying, "Oh my God, can't believe what I saw as I turned on the TV this evening." Like, and it's so random. It's such a random part of the song. It never repeats. It never comes back. She never sings that line again. It's so sweet and innocent, right? And then you hear Michael kind of scream in the background, and then we get the amazing guitar solo. And every time I hear this solo, all I can think about is the dance break in the music video, where the two of them like sliding towards the camera, sort of lifting their shirts and doing the dance and whatever. Like, I can't not hear that solo and not think of that scene from the music video. So Scream, excellent opener, very good, very good runtime. Doesn't overstay its welcome, nothing like that. It's perfect. I love the way it ends too, with like just the hard, harsh noise at the end. And then we get into what I think is top 5 Michael Jackson song, and They Don't Care About Us. The way that They Don't Care About Us is written and recorded, to me, should be studied. It's one of those things where like, this is such a masterclass of like how you create space in a song and build up. So the song starts with just a choir of teenagers, I guess, saying, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. And then you've got the girl kind of talking on top of that. You've got the sound effect that comes in, the synth that comes in, and then you've got that amazing drum pattern. I mean, it's dope, okay? No bass line, no melody, no musicality of any sorts, just that beat. Michael comes in and starts singing the verse. I think one of the best verses he has in any of his songs is, I mean, it's so that in itself is so catchy, right? Like, it's incredible. And then we get to the chorus, which is really, really short, which is all just like, all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. 3, and all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. That's the chorus, okay? We get into like the next verse, which is kind of like a post-chorus. And as we're getting through the song, a singular synth note is playing. Like, that's all that's happening. There's no bass line, there's no strings, there's no guitars, there's nothing. It's just that singular note from a synth, right? Eventually, as the song builds, more notes come into it's still the same synth. And then the best part is they get to, I believe, the third time they sing all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you hear this really fast guitar lick. Right? That was a terrible impression, but you understand what I'm trying to talk about if you've heard the song. Now you kind of hear some musicality. There's still no bass, there's still nothing, but you are hearing full chords. All right? You got those kind of hit. There's the first time you hear hits like that in a song, and then you kind of get to the almost the fourth verse, I guess. Again, and you're hearing full synth behind him again. No bass, no guitar, nothing. It's just the synth and the drums. And then all I want to say is that they don't really care about us. I get goosebumps at this part every single time. It goes, all I want to say is that they don't really care about that break into the bridge is peak Jackson writing. It's peak. Like, it is so good. Like, every time I've heard this song for 20 odd years, folks, like 1995, longer, whatever the math is. Every time it gets me, every single time, the same way that Mama Say Mama Sama Makusa Want to Be Starting Something gets me. It's that good, because we have spent 2.5 minutes at this point, 3 minutes at this point, just building and building and building and building and building and building. We haven't gone anywhere quite yet. We're still building, and then all of a sudden we get that hit, and it's just It's just, oh, it's visceral. I love it. And you get the guitar solo, and you hear the bass synth going crazy, a la Speed Demon, and all it, whatever, all that happens, and then it all kind of quiets down. Michael sings, the last line he sings, "If Martin Luther was living, he wouldn't let this be, no, no." And then we get back to the chorus, and what's amazing is we go back to the subdued nature of the verse and the chorus. It's back to just synth and drums, and then vocal harmonies and stuff. They don't care about us. It's top 5 Michael Jackson. I don't fight me on it if you want. I think it is. I think it's that good. And then we get to Stranger in Moscow. Awesome drum beat, amazing chord progression, beautiful vocal melody, excellent chorus, nice build up, and then we get to the end where Jackson sings the Stranger in Moscow part. I love the little sound effects, little whistling sound effects in the background and stuff. Absolutely gorgeous song in Stranger in Moscow. I love the vocal harmonies. I love the vocal work of this song. And at this point, re-listening to history, I realized that this is the first Jackson record that I've reviewed since Off the Wall that, like, to me, has the best starting sequence of any album that he's done. And that might be controversial, but I think this is the best 1, 2, 3 punch of any of his records between Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad, and Dangerous. This to me is like excellent opener, excellent second song, excellent third song. The first 3 tracks of History are phenomenal. Phenomenal. Nothing wrong with any of them. Okay? We get into This Time Around. This is to me the first okay track of the record. It's good, and I think to me it's a little too repetitive. I like the beat, I like the chorus, but I just think there's not enough meat on the bone as far as like a song is concerned. I do think that Notorious B.I.G.'s rap in the middle completely saves the song from being mundane. I think it's excellent, and I think it does lead into the final chorus very well. But it's an okay track. Like, I don't dislike it. I'm totally okay with its placement here on History. But I don't like. There's nothing about it that, like, from a verse perspective, I think is really good. Chorus is cool, and again, Biggie's feature on it, I think, absolutely saves the track. Let's get into Earth Song, which okay. How do I say this? Bad had Man in the Mirror. Dangerous had Heal the World. History has Earth Song. It's that. It's that. This is such a well-constructed, well-written, well-arranged song. Michael's vocals are gorgeous. Lyrically, the song is amazing. I love that the chorus of the song doesn't have words in it. It's just like, I love that that's the chorus. Ooh, it's very, very church, very gospel. And I love that the song builds the way it does, because when we get to the second chorus, the cry, da, 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 and you hear the drums, boom, 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 and you hear the drums kick in, and the drums, my goodness, hats off to whoever sound engineered this song, because the drums sound incredible. They sound so good. The snare, the kick, the toms, everything sounds so good. The bass guitar is phenomenal in all of this. We get to the little bridge. I used to da 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 da. We go back into the chorus, and then we get a key change. And this key change changes the trajectory of the entire song, because now we get the chorus repetitively. I talked about this in reviewing Man on the Mirror for Bad. But it's a roller coaster ride. We get the chorus multiple times. We hear those choir multiple times. We hear it so many times, until we finally get to what about us, what about us? And like, I adore this part. And I think the choir singing what about us, and Michael just kind of going off, what about us? And then we're just going through. Da, 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 what about us? And I love that he could have just done what about us over and over again. But I love that we go, what about us? Ba, da, 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 what about it? Like I love that. It's like it just changes as a listener. I hear that and I'm like, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And then they do the triplet. Dun, 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 what about it? When they do that, what about it? It's like you had my attention. You absolutely did, and now you've stolen all of it. My attention is all yours. Earth Song is gorgeous, and then Roller Coaster Ride, right? We're going through the ups and the downs, the loop-de-loops, this, that, whatever, and the next thing, the trials and the tribulations, the hopes and the sorrows. Earth Song is giving us, and then they go right back into the chorus. Finally, and Michael just says his woos over and over again at the end of each measure. Da, 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 woo, da, 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 woo, da, da, woo. And I can't do it, obviously, because I don't have his range. But this song. Earth Song's phenomenal. This is, they don't care about us as top 5. Earth Song is top 5. I don't know. I don't know what top 5 is anymore. He's got a lot of top 5s. He's got more than 5 top 5s. It's freaking great. DS is an interesting song. I like the beat a lot. I like the vocal melody a lot. I think the chorus is super catchy. Subject matter it is what it is, right? But I think when I remember first listening to History back when I was younger in '95 when the record came out, when I was just starting high school, I thought DS was an okay song. I probably didn't like it that much, but re-listening to it for this album, I appreciate it quite a bit. I think it's actually a really cool song. I like the it's a catchy riff, catchy drum beat. Michael's vocals are excellent, and I think that chorus is really catchy. DS is a great song, as is Money. Money was a song that not that I had forgotten about, but I was always kind of like, it's kind of like a whatever track on this thing. But Money is a dope track. I love Michael talking throughout the verses and stuff. I love that it goes into the singing for the chorus for Money, and I just it's a catchy track. It's a catchy track. DS and Money to me are kind of like sibling tracks to me. Like, just not just from a subject matter standpoint, but from a feel standpoint, they very much are similar in my opinion. Michael is rapping on Money, yes, where he's not doing that on DS. But to me, they complement each other really well. So the track listing here makes a ton of sense for me. And Money is a fun track. Okay, so we get to Come Together, which I don't understand why this song is on this album, because I distinctly remember watching the Moonwalker album or movie, excuse me, and seeing him perform Come Together on the Moonwalker movie, which came out when Bad came out. So 2 albums ago. So for him to include essentially a B-side track, granted it's a Beatles cover, right? But for him to release a B-side track from an album 2 years ago that he recorded in '86 on an album that's coming out in '95 is a really interesting decision. And I don't know if he did this because he wanted 15 tracks, 15 new tracks, quote unquote, to match the 15 greatest hits tracks that he was putting out. So put out 30 tracks overall, 15 on this disc and 15 on this disc. The disc is really clean. I don't know if that was the intention, but full disclosure, the first time I ever heard this song was Michael's very rendition of it on Moonwalker. I didn't know it was a Beatles track. I was 8 when I first heard that song. So I thought, oh, this is a cool song. And I love the I thought that was cool. I thought the lyrics were really interesting. Talk about Coca-Cola and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know until much later that this was actually a Beatles track. Again, no one had shown me the Beatles up until that point. I didn't know, right? So for me, I was like, oh, this is a cool Jackson track. Figuring out later that it was a cover, I was like, okay, that's cool that it's a cover. But for him to include it on this record is interesting. It almost would have made more sense to put it on the greatest hits side and treat it as oh, here's a track that y'all have heard. You've heard me perform this. It was on freaking Moonwalker, for Christ's sakes. But like I just never like released it on an album. Okay, we'll put it on the greatest hits side and we'll put something different on history. But for him to include it as part of the new tracks, quote unquote, on history is an interesting take. Then from a track listing perspective, we go into You Are Not Alone, which I'm probably gonna piss some people off. I don't love this song. I think it's fine. Um, I've always kind of felt this way about this track. The music video always weirded me out with him and Lisa Marie, and like I've just never connected with this track. Um, it's one of those. His vocal performance is great, but I don't know. I don't have anything like against it. It's not my cup of tea. All right. It's just not. And like, it kind of stays in that vibe. I will say that the chorus is beautiful. I love the post chorus, the long, like the chord structure that they do there. So let's say if you're like in C major, so da 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 C major, da 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 A minor, da 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 D minor, da 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 G major, da 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 C major, right? And then A flat major, B flat major, C major, right? Three chords that typically are not in C major. Add some what's the word I'm looking for? Some pizzazz to the song, some hauntingness, all right, and add some mystery to the track. Michael kind of going off at the end of the song, I think is fun, showing off his vocal prowess in my heart, and he holds that note like forever while the chorus is singing behind him or the choir is singing behind him, the vocal melodies, the harmonies. So I think that part is cool. But like I've never like You Are Not Alone was just never a track that like I vibed with. And then from there we go into Childhood, which was in Free Willy 2. And also, Jackson's vocal performance is next level. He sounds amazing on the song. It's beautifully sung, beautifully performed. I don't love the track. And one of those from a songwriting perspective, I just don't vibe with it as much. I think there are better solo Jackson performances from like, Dangerous, Gone Too Soon, for example, being one that I just thought was absolutely gorgeous. Childhood is it's first off, it's very on the nose. Which like I in general don't like tracks that like tell you to your face, this is what the song's about. I'm singing about this. And I'm just like, no, okay, cool, good, that's great. I'm not like the biggest fan of that. So this is the part of the record to me where it kind of loses me a little bit. Like You Are Not Alone and Childhood back to back is hard for me to swallow because they're both slow songs, and they're both slow songs that I am not a fan of. I love Jackson's performance on both of these tracks, but I don't think that they're great songs per se. But the next portion of the record, I think, saves it for me because Tabloid Junkie is an excellent song that I think has one of Jackson's best choruses. I think the line of, just because you read it in a magazine, you see it on a TV screen, don't make it factual. Like, I love that chorus. I remember hearing that chorus for the first time and like my ears perking up and being like, that's awesome. First off, love the chord progression there. Love the lyricism there because it's just right. A little on the nose again with the lyrics on this one, but it kind of had to be because of the subject matter that he was talking about. Like, it's really just sticking it to like the media of like, dude, like, stop saying all this stuff about me when like a lot of it's not factual. Maybe none of it is factual. And so like putting the word out there, Jackson was thinking about fake news before fake news was a thing. Um, I mean that in jest, but seriously almost, right? But I love the chorus of Tabloid Junkie. I absolutely love the chorus of Tabloid Junkie, and I especially love the end part of it where they sing the chorus over and over again, but the chords change under it. So now the chords kind of continue from where we're going, or where we were going in the chorus. So the chords go to the minor fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and then we go back to the root. And the song ends on Jackson's solo vocal. But Tabloid Junkie is, I love this track. I love this track. I like if it's one of those that like, to me, like I think just really, really allows Michael to shine. Too Bad is also a really fun track. I think it's a lot of fun. One of the underrated classics on this track. I love that chorus a lot. Michael's vocals are excellent on this. The prowess, the tenacity, the ferocity of his voice in the chorus is dope. I think the drum beat is excellent. Excuse me. Sort of a sequel to Bad, if you will, but the vibes are different, right? Musically, they don't necessarily sound the same. But Too Bad is a track that the shining moment really is the chorus, right? And I think it's one of those where it's nice to, like, if the track listing was a little more skewed, where it was like we got You Are Not Alone, and then Too Bad, and then Childhood, and then Tabloid Junkie, I think I'd be better. The fact that we got like two really slow tracks next to one another, and then we got two tracks, Tabloid Junkie and Too Bad, next to one another, that are kind of similar. We also have the same with DS and Money that are kind of similar. These songs almost kind of come in pairs, in my opinion. And then we get History, one of the lesser known tracks of the record, which is the title track. This is a really interesting way that this song is put together. It's a combination. The verse really is a combination of just like these historic sound bites, you know, from like Neil Armstrong, you know, saying one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind on the moon. Martin Luther King saying I have a dream, and many, many other popular sound bites, popular things that people have said throughout the course of history, kind of playing throughout the verse. And then Michael sort of singing the pre-chorus going into the chorus. The chorus is gorgeous. The chorus is absolutely gorgeous. I think it's a really well put together song. And it's one of those that, like, you know, I totally forgot. Not that I forgot, but like I really didn't appreciate this track until re-listening to History for this record, or for this review, excuse me. I love that it kind of slows down, it stops. You hear the old-timey radio stuff. You hear like bam, bam, ba-dum, bam. Like you kind of hear all of that stuff from like the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. All of these things that shaped the course of history, no pun intended, that he puts into the song and then sings for the pre-chorus and the chorus. It's a really ingenious way, in my opinion, of like rewriting a track, of being like, I'm going to use all these public domain sound bites, put them in throughout the course of the verse, and then come in with the pre-chorus that then leads me into the chorus. I absolutely love it. The last two tracks of the record are interesting for me. So we end the track with Little Susie and Smile. Smile being a Charlie Chaplin cover, interestingly enough. And in the Michael movie, you can kind of hear Jafar Jackson portraying Michael. There's one scene where he's going up the stairs of his house and he's singing the melody to Smile. Michael's performance is beautiful on Smile. It's interesting to end an album like History with that track. I feel like ending with History might have been the right call. And then Little Susie is such a track out of left field. It's like the way that it's constructed, the way that the orchestra is like Michael singing on top of it about this really sad story about a girl called Susie. I think the song is gorgeous, and I think that its performance is very well put together. Its production is excellent and unique to an album like History because it sounds different than the rest of the tracks. But overall, History is an album that is kind of a weird one, right? Like Dangerous, like I said on my previous episode of the Songminded Podcast, which you can check out by listening to your to the podcast on your favorite podcast provider, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc., or watching here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. And if you've got a question or like have a thought about History in general, please leave a comment down below. But anyways, Dangerous was like his most ambitious record, which is what I had said. And I still stand by that. I think History is kind of like a safe record for Michael. But in the best way possible, because like I said, the first three tracks of History are phenomenal. And then this time around is a good track, not a great track. Then we get Earth Song. Phenomenal. 5 stars. Love that song. We get DS and Money, both good to really great tracks. Then we get You Are Not Alone and Childhood, which to me are they're okay. We get Tabloid, Junkie, and Too Bad, both great tracks. We get History, which I think is borderline phenomenal. And then we get Little Susie and Smile, which I think are a somber way to end this record. Like a somber, innocent way to end this record. But, controversial take, maybe, I think as a whole, I appreciate History more than I appreciate Dangerous. I think History is a little bit more balanced, right? Because again, like the first three tracks between Scream, They Don't Care About Us, and Stranger in Moscow are three completely different tracks. Completely different. Whereas in Dangerous, Jam, Why You Want to Trip on Me, and In the Closet are interchangeable, identical tracks. I really like this record. I really like History. I think it goes down to me as one of my favorites for Jackson. I think it's like thriller, bad history, you know? And I say that because They Don't Care About Us, Scream, Stranger in Moscow, Earth Song. Those four alone are make this album untouchable. Then you get like Tabloid Junkie, you get Too Bad, you get Money, you get History, and you get gorgeous performances like Little Susie and Smile. I like this record quite a bit, right? Does it have like the hits of like Remember the Time and In the Closet and Jam and Heal the World? Probably not. But I think it has a little bit more consistency to those. And I think overall, like when I think of standout Michael tracks. If I'm comparing Earth Song to Jam, I'm preferring Earth Song. If I'm comparing They Don't Care About Us to In the Closet, I'm preferring They Don't Care About Us. So if we're talking blow for blow, I think History's the better record. Dangerous just has the more iconic tracks. But overall, I absolutely love this record. I truly do. I don't hear a lot of people talking about History. And I'm excited to revisit Invincible. Invincible is an album that I have not heard in a very long time. It's been decades since I've like spun that record. I only know You Rock My World, and I don't remember anything else. Nothing. So I'm excited to kind of revisit that and talk about that record. But History as a whole to me is you know, greatest hits record aside, and the odd inclusion of Come Together, I think it's a great track. I think it's a great record. To me, four of the best Michael Jackson songs ever written. Three. We'll put Stranger Moscow kind of aside. But Scream, They Don't Care About Us, and Earth Song are on this record. That alone to me raises its tide a little bit, right? Okay. So those are my thoughts on Michael Jackson's History, a record that is an odd one, but at the end of the day, absolutely loved. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And don't forget to follow me on the Songminded Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thanks so much for watching or listening. I'll see you in the next one next Thursday. We're reviewing Invincible. I'm excited. See y'all. Take care.